Robert Saleh returns to his old stomping grounds in New York. How the Niners can attack the Giants defense, and something happened in Miami that may impact what happens with the Niners at the trade deadline. We'll talk about it all on today's Gold Standard Podcast. What is good, everybody? Welcome to the Gold Standard Podcast, part of the Pro Football Insiders. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. She is Michelle Magic. Michelle, happy Halloween.
Woo woo. Do you like Halloween?
Love Halloween. It's my favorite holiday. We're going with a little skeleton on the YouTube broadcast in the corner here to celebrate. It's the best holiday there is.
Okay, I could not agree less. But what are your kids going as this year?
My son is going as a plague doctor, like with the bird kind of like beak-like mask thing.
Okay.
And my daughter is going as, I think, one of the K-pop demon hunters. I'm not sure which one.
Are you going as anything?
I have a Jedi costume with like the robes and stuff, but I like to stay home and give out the candy. I give out full-size candy bars. I've got candy that has peanuts in it. I got candy that doesn't have peanuts in it in case anybody has allergies. I am fully ready to go. I can't wait.
I still have to go buy candy if I'm even going to give it out tonight.
Well,
I mean, if I'm home, I'll give out candy, but I'm not typically home on a Friday night. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, you're so busy. God. Gameplan.exe says, hey, happy to get on live with my favorite show of the week. Thank you very much, Gameplan.exe. All right. Oh, God. Lettuce 49. Make sure your kids aren't trick-or-treating near any electrical stations. Did you see that whole...
No.
Hubbub? So Chase Sr., who runs 49ers Chat Sports, the biggest 49ers YouTube channel, suggested that one of the reasons the 49ers... Well, he didn't suggest it. John Feliciano, former 49ers offensive lineman, suggested maybe the Niners have so many injuries because there's an electrical substation near their practice facility and stadium. And Chase talked about it and kind of agreed with him. And then the San Francisco Chronicle wrote it up as an article and was like, this guy's kind of pushing these kind of crazy conspiracy theories. They reached out to him. He did not respond for comment. It's sort of become a thing. And they actually quoted me in the article because I responded to Chase. And I was like, the Rams and the Bills have substations near their facility and they don't have the 49ers injury problems. So it sort of became a thing. Anyways, it's a weird week in 49ers land.
Yeah, I mean, there's something going on with the injuries, definitely. So I like that people are trying to get creative here and figure it out, but that's probably not the cause.
No, it is not the cause. All right, this is going to be an abbreviated show because my kids have a half day today and I got to go pick them up. So we got a lot to do and not a lot of time to do it in. We're going to get to the 49ers preview of the Giants game and our picks as well. But first, Michelle, we had a firing in Miami, and I'm calling it a firing, not a mutual parting like the BS insiders put out. Chris Grier, Dolphins GM, fired by Miami. And obviously this is interesting because we all sort of thought that Miami had some pieces that other teams might be interested in, not the least of which would be San Francisco. And I saw this tweet from Tom Pelissero who said, the Dolphins mostly fended off trade calls in recent weeks, trying to turn things around. Now at 2-7, a major change atop the football operation and a potential shift in trade talks coming between now and the deadline. I don't know. I see Bradley Chubb, maybe Minkah Fitzpatrick, Jalen Phillips. You think the Niners call up the Dolphins?
They definitely should for one of their pass rushers. I don't think Minkah would be the way to go. I don't really know if he fixes anything there. But, I mean, they have to make a move for a pass rusher or somebody on defense, 100%. And I do think after this Sunday hits, we're going to see a ton of moves happen like on the Monday right before the trade deadline.
I agree. I think and that's why this game for the Niners could be so big, because if you win and you're 6-3, that could be the difference between John Lynch making a deal and not making a deal. 6-3 and 5-4, even though it's only one game, it feels a lot different.
It definitely does, especially when you have to go face the Rams, the next week, and you're saying, okay, now we could be 5-5. Like if you don't have confidence in your team, they really need to beat the Giants because we're feeling so good after they beat the Falcons, right? And we're saying, okay, this gave them a little leeway to lose a game. But then you lost the game, right? So now you don't have that leeway anymore. You lost against the Texans. So You got to come back. You got to beat a team like the Giants that are depleted with injuries as well and are a much worse team than you overall.
Yes, you should beat the Giants, but with this team, they're not good enough to just go out and handle their business. That's why, like, somebody asked me on the NFC West podcast, my co-host Dan Viennes was like, do you think this is a trap game for the Niners because the Rams game is up next? And I'm like, you can't have a trap game when you're not that good. Like, they know that they can't just roll out there and beat anybody. They understand that they got to be on their P's and Q's. And you just lost to the Texans. You got embarrassed by the Texans. So no, there's no chance of this being a trap game. They might lose it because they'll lose it, but they're not going to lose it because they think they're too good.
Yeah, I don't think a trap game can come after a loss, especially when you've lost three games in the last 5 weeks. I don't think that exists for a trap game, right? This is a game they got to win. Yeah, unfortunately, I was at that Texans game, and there really was no like moments where, I mean, when they score the touchdown to make it they're only down by 8 points. So I think it was 23-15. That was like, all right, maybe, but that lasted for like 1 second.
It was depressed. The Texans had 16 plays on the opening drive. The Niners had 14 plays in the first half, which is just stunning to me. And actually, I caught Kyle Shanahan on KMBR yesterday, and I completely agree with what he said. Here's Kyle.
I thought we made it a little bit too easy on CJ last week in terms of, we blitzed him, but his hot routes were always open. So we didn't have to really make him work too much. You know, it's great to blitz and get after a guy, but if they just can run a slant and he's not covered and you can get a first down on 3rd and 10 that way, you're kind of making it easier by blitzing them. And I thought we struggled with that. That's why I thought we couldn't get off the field, and they were able to do so well on 3rd down and hold on to that ball like they did.
I completely agree. And Robert Saleh agrees because he basically apologized this week at his press conference. He said, I wasn't happy with our game plan from the coaches. They can't do that this week because Jackson Dart is playing better than CJ Stroud right now.
They literally cut. I mean, on 1st and 2nd down, they were fine. And it was every time on 3rd down. Like, they forced them in the 3rd down 16 times in the game. That's a lot of times to force a team to 3rd down, but they converted 9 of those 3rd down attempts to first downs. Like, and they're going to struggle this week if they can't stop Wan'Dale Robinson. I think that's my biggest fear because Wan'Dale Robinson leads the league by far in slot receiving yards. The 49ers are giving up the 2nd most yards to slot receivers this year among all teams. And also Robinson has the 2nd most 3rd down receptions in the league this year, not just out of the slot, just in the league. So they have to key in on stopping him because really, there's not a lot of weapons on this team anymore with Cam Scatterbo out for the year. Malik Neighbors went out a while ago for the year, and Darius Slayton isn't doing much. Like, there's not much to worry about. And it is funny to be like Wan'Dale Robinson, but when you stink in that area where he thrives in, that's a little scary.
You can't say there's not, like, Houston had no weapons. Their top 2 wide receivers were out. It didn't matter. They still dominated the ball. So, yeah, I mean, if we start there, Jackson Dart has been really, really good at converting 3rd downs. He's converting 47% of 3rd downs since he's become the starter. That's 6th best in the NFL. And a lot of the times he's doing it off schedule. He's, buying time, either running or just buying time with his mobility and making plays there. So that's going to be job 1 for Robert Saleh, is going to be, what can you do to make him uncomfortable? And then what can you do with sort of the second play, the play within a play, to contain him? Because I don't care who you have, if the guy can scramble around enough, doesn't matter if he doesn't have all his weapons, somebody's eventually going to get open.
And also the amount that they let Stroud scramble last week and even get out of the pocket and run. Like, Stroud's not a runner at all. And he got 30 rushing yards on him. Like, Dart can really hurt you with his legs. Yeah. He's a mobile dude. He's a lot more mobile than Stroud. So if they don't figure out a way to contain Dart, not just in a scramble drill and allowing him to get out of the pocket and make plays with his arm, but also with his legs, they could be in trouble.
Oh God, I can't see another defensive performance like that. It was stunning to me because it was like, this is Robert Saleh. Like, what do we do? Like, it made no sense. We're going to blitz, but we're going to play soft coverage. Like, how would that work? How was that ever going to work? And it's crazy to me that that's the game plan that they went into it with. I got to believe Robert Saleh is not going to have 2 of those game plans in a row, 2 clunkers in a row. Coaches can have clunkers too, right? And he had one last week. He's been great this year. I said that in the instant reaction, like, he was great, but not last week. I got to believe they're going to have a better plan this week. and we're going to see a better defensive performance.
And they need to be playing up, really up, because Dart on the year, like he's been great on short passes, anything under 20 air yards, but deep, one of the worst in the league. He has a 52 passer rating on deep passes this year. That's over 20 air yards. He's 4 for 20 on deep pass attempts, third lowest completion percentage in the NFL. Play up because his top weapons are, I mean, it's Wan'Dale Robinson, a smaller guy that gets the shorter targets. Now it's going to be Tyrone Tracy Jr. because he's going to take Cam Scatterboo's targets. Those are going to be short. And then it's Theo Johnson, the tight end, who also gets shorter targets. So it's all going to be right there in the middle, short. Like that's what you got to cover. Don't worry too much about the deep pass. If they end up beating you deep, okay, I guess at least it's a quick drive, right? Because right. The Texans are just slowly killing them over and over and over. I would much rather just get it over with quick if you're going to allow a touchdown.
Yeah, it was one of the worst overall, one of the worst all-around performances I've seen from the 49ers in the Shanahan era.
I'm so happy I could be there.
Yeah, great for that. I blamed you completely, by the way. I was like, clearly this is all Michelle's fault. She can never go to the game again. So I'm glad you will be safely away from the stadium this week.
Texans fans were giving it to me. I'll say, yeah. My friend who I went with was giving it to me hard.
Right. You were sitting with a Texans fan. Yeah. Now the Niners hopefully will have Keon White in this game, who just arrived in the middle of the week last week. He was limited in practice Wednesday because he didn't get there until the practice had already started. And I want to be clear because I know what I'm going to say a nice thing about him, and then you're going to make it seem like I'm fitting him in the Hall of Fame. If he is an average NFL player, that will be an improvement over some of the defensive linemen that the 49ers have had out on the field lately. Travis Gibson, I'm looking at you. Just be an average guy. And the Niners defensive line will have gotten better. And also, like, they literally needed a healthy body to put out on the field. So that's all I'm expecting from Keon White. Please, if you can just do that, I will be happy.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of injuries they have across the defensive line, we'll see who can play and who can't. But I mean, so many guys day to day, right, with injuries. So even if they do play, how well will they be able to perform? Because are these injuries suffering, or like, are they dealing with these injuries still? But I mean, they're without Bryce Huff, that was huge last week. And then, Jordan Elliott and Alfred Collins hurt in that game, and D. Winters and Sam, however you say
Okawanu, Sam Okawanu. How dare you?
There's just it's just crazy. It just won't stop. The injuries won't stop.
No, they will not. Marcus Lionheart says, we knew going into this season and talked about it in preseason that this was going to be a roller coaster with riding the highs and lows. We have seen both for sure. Yeah, we're on that ride. No doubt about it. We're on that ride. And look, that's what the 49ers have been doing, right? If you go look at the schedule, they have alternated wins and losses since week 3. They beat the Cardinals. We're riding high on the top of the roller coaster, and then they lose to the Jags. And then they play the Rams with nobody and somehow win in overtime, and we're back up that roller coaster. Then they lose to the Bucs pretty soundly. Then all of a sudden they beat Atlanta out of nowhere with no Fred Warner. We're right at the top. And then last week, obviously, came the game against Houston. So we've been on that roller coaster for the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, and maybe we see it again, right? Maybe they could beat the Giants, and then maybe we come back down to life against the Rams. But it does feel good that the Cardinals, Panthers, Browns, Titans 4-game stretch is coming up with a bye week in between there too, to get some players finally some rest. So that feels good. I mean, there's not a lot of hard games left on the schedule. It's the Rams and it's the Colts. Those should be the two. And I guess the Seahawks in the last game of the year could be tough, but those are the toughest games left. They have to, if they just beat the teams they're supposed to, the Giants, the Cardinals, the Panthers, the Browns, the Titans, they're going to be good. They'll get into the playoffs.
So I wanted to talk about this specifically with Levin, and I didn't. So thank you for bringing it up. The Niners and the Giants and the Panthers, excuse me. Those are two games where I look at those and I'm just like, the Niners should win those games. You should. That doesn't mean it's guaranteed, but you should win those games. So if they can, then you have 3 other games before the bye, right? You have the Rams, you have the Cardinals, you have the Browns. If they can handle the Giants and the Panthers and win just one of those 3 games from Arizona, the Rams, and Cleveland, you'll be 8-5 after 13 games. That's phenomenal. You'd be in phenomenal shape to make the playoffs the rest of the season.
Especially when you have the Titans after the bye.
Right. But do you have to handle your business against the Giants and against the Panthers? Then we talked about like, oh, they can afford to lose. Like you buy yourself a little bit of space. So that's what they're up against. This is a handle your business game for the 49ers. The Giants are down. They just lost a major player on offense to a devastating injury. His injury is worse than Fred Warner's injury. Fred Warner's coming back in 3 months. Cam Scatterbo is going to be at least a 6-month recovery.
No, poor Cam Scatterbo. He's so fun to watch. I love him. I mean, for him not to be in this matchup is huge because I think he would have probably beat up on these 49ers defenders.
Yes,
he would have been a worry. It's a lot less scary to be facing Tyrone Tracy Jr. than Cam Scatterbo. That's for sure. That's why you saw Jackson Dart being a mess when he lost Scatterbo and the team being a mess. Like they know what they're losing here, right? So that is a huge loss. The Giants defense is not good. They have a decent edge rusher group. But like I said, like just take one of those guys back with you after the game. You know, just grab them and be like, you know what, we'll send you a fourth.
Right. Forget the jersey swap. Just give him a 49ers jersey. Pick one. There's multiple guys. Jay Cruz says Michelle is never allowed to go to a 49ers game again. The whole performance was her fault. I'm glad that we have the appropriate perspective by the fan base. Thank you very much. Aaron Rodriguez says, hey, Rob, I tore my calf while wearing my Christian McCaffrey jersey this week. It's a curse, I tell you, LOL. Sorry, dude. That sucks.
That's wild coincidence, though.
Yeah, that is brutal. All right, let's flip it over now. Let's flip it to when the Niners have the ball. I was dead wrong, Michelle. I looked at this game before the year began, and I was like, this Giants game is going to be tough. I was really scared of the Giants defense. I thought the Giants were really putting together what potentially could have been a top 5, top 10 defense, and they have been the complete opposite of that this year. They can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass. They're 27th in points allowed, 26th versus the pass, 30th versus the run. I don't know why. I can't explain why, but this defense has stunk this year.
It doesn't really make sense because they have the weapons, at least across. Like you would think they'd be getting a ton of pressure and putting, a lot of pressure on quarterbacks and making them make mistakes. That's just not the case. Like you can run on them, you can pass on them, and whoever's the quarterback this week for the 49ers, Mac Jones or Brock Purdy, they should not have any issues passing the ball against this Giants defense. Also, Christian McCaffrey should have a good game on the ground. Like he should be able to put it together. He should not be, the receiving yards got just over what we needed last week at 43. He needed 42.5 for his projection we gave last week. But they should not have an issue on offense scoring against the Giants.
I was stunned that the Giants were that bad. And they still have Brian Burns, who has 10 sacks, who's leading the league. And their defenses still had this much trouble. And they're banged up too, Michelle, particularly in the secondary. I think they're down 3 corners. Their second cornerback this week is going to be Corey Black, who was signed off the Jets practice squad last week. So like they are in trouble in the secondary. Now, look, I know the 49ers receiving core is depleted. I get that. But you still should be able to move the ball against them.
But also, how was Ricky Pearsall not put on IR back when he got hurt? How is he still not practicing? They called it a minor PCL injury, minor. And now this can be his 5th game in a row missing.
This is why another issue with the 49ers training staff, right? I think they misdiagnosed stuff because if they had diagnosed it as a more serious injury, then he would have been put on IR. But they didn't. They made it seem like he could come back after a week or two. And here we are 5 weeks later, and he's not even practicing.
And Purdy missed 4 games too. So he should have been put on IR. You could have had these spots to help you out with depth because you have injuries everywhere else too. Like this is so silly. But it also seems like Purdy probably, I don't know. Do you think he starts?
No.
I guess at least he's supposed to be a backup, right? No. So I guess he'll be active, but
it's silliness. But no, he's not playing. It's going to be the Mac Jones show. Mac Jones did the press conference this week. I don't think that was an accident. But that doesn't change the fact that even if it is Mac Jones, this Giants defense has shown vulnerabilities. So let's take advantage of that. Please, please, please. I can't watch another game like last week where they had 14 plays in the first half. It's got to be better, regardless of it's Kendrick Bourne or Juwan Jennings or Jordan Watkins. We actually got to see Jordan Watkins out there. Now I'd like to see him hang on to the football. Yeah, but hopefully he'll get more of a look this week. Let's go.
Now, Mac Jones needs to step it up, though, because, I mean, he started great, right? But the last 3 starts, he has 2 passing touchdowns to 4 interceptions over the last 3 games. His pressure, his passer rating under pressure over the last 2 games is at 22 points, 22.5 point passer rating under pressure. The first 4 starts, he had an 81.5 under pressure, and that's pretty good. But like, he needs to step it up when he gets pressured. And like we said, the Giants do have a defensive line, right? They have a pass rush. They'll get some pressure on him. It's just they can't stop anything in the secondary, and they can't stop the run. But Jones has fallen back to Mac Jones, right? He's coming back down to reality a little bit. And this is what backups do. They can step up for a game or 2, right? And perform, but long term, when you need them for a while, they kind of fall back down to earth. We saw that with Carson Wentz after a couple starts. Like, this is the normal progression of a normal backup.
And like, I'm not saying that to, like, this isn't to slight Mac Jones.
He's a backup, and right. he's been solid enough, but we shouldn't have needed him for this long. Also, it's like, this is so irritating.
But that's why it's so important that they get the running game going this week. Because it alleviates so many different things. Number one, it's way less risky than having your quarterback have to pass, right? Because he could get sacked, he could fumble, he could throw interceptions, which just started to become a little bit of a thing. When you run the ball, you mitigate that. You can obviously, there's yards to be found against this Giants defense. Again, as I said, they're 30th against the run in the NFL. So that helps with that. It helps with time of possession to keep your depleted defense off of the field. If there was ever a game where you could get Christian going, and look, we saw it against the Falcons, right? Falcons had a bad run defense, and the Niners ran all over them. This is another opportunity. And it doesn't just have to be Christian McCaffrey. It could be Brian Robinson. It could be Isaac Guerrero. It could be whoever. Like, just pound the freaking ball. And I do think I expect to see Kyle start to attack them there first. Because if it works, like we said, then he's like, oh, great, I don't even have to unload a lot of this other stuff. We can just move down the field this way. You stay ahead of the chains. Mac Jones doesn't have to, do as much work. Your offensive line doesn't have to be as good. Everything is made easier if the ground game is better. And one other little tick that you want to put in the Niners' favor, looks like Ben Barch and or Spencer Burford will be back this week, which means Connor Colby will be on the bench, which is a very good thing because he was terrible as a left guard.
No, that's good. Well, it's sad to be like, woo, Ben Barch or Spencer Burford. But I guess slight upgrade there. No, they do need to focus on the run. They need to focus on keeping the Giants offense off the field. You do some long drives, 49ers. Slowly take this clock off, get this defense tired, get the Giants defense tired. But yeah, they need a good run game. I don't want the speed game. They have to depend on whatever quarterback's back there. Because even if it's Brock, like, you don't want to put too much on his shoulder right away. Like, his shoulders right away. You don't want him to have to scramble a bunch, right? Or move. Like, just make this a running game with Christian McCaffrey dominating a lot of short passes. Get Kittle involved when you do pass the ball. Yeah. And that's all you got to do.
To be fair, like, they have tried to get Kittle involved, especially in the red zone. Like, he should have had 2 touchdowns last week. Jake Ton just literally intercepted the second touchdown for George Kittle, which Kyle Shanahan, who said he as soon as he saw Ton just like react to try and get the ball, he was furious on the sidelines because Kittle was wide open and he didn't think Ton just was going to hold on to it. But obviously, ultimately, he did. Kenny says, I'm not sure Barch is actually good, but damn, Kobe was awful. That's the thing. You ever hear the expression hunger is the best seasoning, Michelle?
No.
Okay, so like that's obviously like when you're really, really hungry, food.
Okay, your food. Okay, yeah, I got it. That's
where we are with the 49ers offensive line. Like, yeah, Ben Barch, I don't think he's that great, but we're hungry and he's there. And Connor Colby has been bad. Ben Barch, can you be an average NFL offensive lineman? If yes, that would be an improvement over what the 49ers have. That's all we're hoping for is improvement at some of these really weak spots.
I'm going back to the quarterback because I don't want to talk about this terrible offense line. Let's say Mac Jones plays the first half, right? Plays the first half. The 49ers are losing by 10 points or something. Like, Mac Jones just can't do anything. He has an interception or 2, whatever. And Brock Purdy does end up being the backup, right? He is active, but as the backup. Do they put in Purdy for the second half?
Here's the thing. If you're healthy enough to be the backup, you're healthy enough to start. Like, either you can play or you can't. So I don't want to see Mac Jones or Brock Purdy as the backup. If he's healthy enough to be active, then you're paying him all that money. He should be starting.
Do you think a lot of this has to do with them playing on the MetLife turf? Like, I do think that's probably a big.
They keep saying no, but it doesn't really matter what they say. I mean, I don't know. They say no. That's all I have to go on.
I don't want him to play in this. I mean, I want to see him back. I don't want them to need him to win this game, right? They shouldn't need him to win this game. Let him get healthy one more week. He needs to come back for the Rams game. And like, if they need him to win this game, they just shouldn't.
That's the perfect way to phrase it. I don't want them to need him. That is exactly what you're hoping for as a 49ers fan. All right, Michelle, let's get right to it. Let's make some picks, baby, because we have been rolling on the year. Even last week, we had 6 picks. Sometimes we double up, so it ended up being 6 picks. We got 4 of them correct. We have been cooking this year. So listen to what we say, and you could win big because you can win up to 1,000 times your money on Sleeper. Just pick higher or lower on all kinds of different stats that they have up. And again, you could win up to 1,000 times your money. And we give you the picks. We give you the picks. Now, you got to pick people from multiple teams. No problem. We do that too for you every single week. You're welcome. And if you haven't made any picks yet, hop on board. New users will get a free $20 entry. You don't even have to deposit anything. Just sign up and you get a free $20 entry. And if you do want to deposit, use our code GSP. You get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. So check out Sleeper today. Last week, Christian McCaffrey, more than 42.5 receiving yards. Yes. Kendrick Bourne, more than 31.5 receiving yards. Yes. Jalen Noel, more than 31.5 receiving yards. Yes. And CJ Stroud, more than 31.5 pass attempts. Yes. You nailed every single pick that you made, Michelle. You carried us this week because my Eddie Pinheiro bet of field goals more than 1.5, that did not cash. Christian McCaffrey, more than 5.5 receptions, that did not cash. So you carried us, so thank you.
You're welcome. I did not think I got the Bourne one, so happy I did.
There you go. All right, so you have honors, clearly. You've definitely earned it. Where are you going with picks?
All right, let's go with Wan'Dale Robinson first, because there's not many picks right now for the 49ers because they haven't announced yet who the quarterback is, so they're not putting much up there. But Wan'Dale Robinson, more than 50.5 receiving yards. I already brought up earlier, the 49ers have allowed the second most yards per reception, and touchdowns to slot receivers through the first 8 weeks of the season this year. Wan'Dale Robinson leads the NFL in receiving yards out of slot by nearly 150 yards. He has 360 yards out of slot this year. Next closest is Jamar Chase with 219. Last week, he only hit 48 yards, but he only had 3 receptions against the Eagles. The 2 weeks prior, he had 84 yards and 95 yards. So well over this number. And he got 12 targets in that week 7 game. So I think he gets targeted a ton and easily hits this more than 50.5 receiving yards.
Everything you said makes sense, but I hope he doesn't. Like, you have Renardo Green, you have Diamador Lenore. Like, these are guys that you invested heavily in, that you believe in. Lock some people down, man. Come on. You can't be giving up all these friggin' young Wan'Dale Robinson. Come the hell on. Whether it's Chase Lucas or Upton Stout, by the way, I don't care, man. You know, there was a lot of talk this week about the rookies and where they are, and Robert Saleh said, you know, everybody's on track and blah, blah, blah. This is week 9. We're supposed to be getting to the point in the season where the rookie's like, all right, you've had your kind of acclimation time, right? Oh, this is the NFL. There's a little bit of a shock. The guys are bigger, stronger, faster, blah, blah, blah. Now's the time where if you're a good player, you start to make that turn and get a little more comfortable. I sure like to see it. I've seen a lot of the developmental plays. I've seen a lot of those. Let's see some of the good flashes here from Upton Stout and others. And please, Upton Stout, stop grabbing people, for the love of God. All right. That's very good. I'll start with the Giants pick as well, since you began with the Giants pick. I'll take Jackson Dart, more than 204.5 passing yards.
Okay.
Niners give up a ton of yardage. They give up a ton of passing yardage. CJ Stroud absolutely cooked them with no weapons last week. I don't know. Hopefully Robert Saleh's defense can stop them from scoring a lot of points, but I think they're going to give up some yardage, especially if Jackson Dart is, you know, scrambling around and buying time and that type of thing. 204 passing yards is not a lot of passing yards in an NFL game in 2025, so I feel pretty comfortable there.
Yeah, it's not. I actually have him for more than 37.5 rushing yards. I was going to do rushing instead. Now, he started on fire as a mobile quarterback. His first 3 starts, he had 54 rushing yards, 55 rushing yards, 58 rushing yards. Last 2 weeks, it's only been 11 and 17. And one was against the Broncos, a much harder defense than the 49ers, and they just got beat up in week 8 against the Eagles. He also scores rushing touchdowns like no other, has scored 4 rushing touchdowns in 5 starts. But CJ Stroud, like I said, is not a mobile quarterback. Like, he is not known for his mobility, and you put up 30 rushing yards against the 49ers last week. There's no Cam Scatterboo. I think he's going to be scrambling around, and Jackson Dart's going to have the room. So I like the 37.5 rushing yards.
Okay. Do you have any more?
I do. I actually have a lot more.
Oh, well, you got like 2 minutes. So
okay. Tyron Tracy, the running back for the Giants, more than 18.5 receiving yards. Cam Scatterboo was consistently getting targets from Dart, and the 49ers have allowed the 3rd most receptions to running backs this year.
Ooh.
And then George Kittle, anytime touchdown, more than half a touchdown. So he just needs to score 1 touchdown. He's scored in 2 of his 3 games this year. And like you said, he should have had 2 last week. He'll get another this week.
I want to co-sign on the Kittle. I'm going to take Christian McCaffrey rushing attempts more than 17.5. He only ran the ball 8 times last week. They only had 10 rushing attempts as a team because Mac had a couple of scrambles. Christian McCaffrey's going to get the ball early and often, especially against the bad Giants rush defense. So I'll take Christian McCaffrey over 17.5 rush yards. You know I'm going Eddie P, baby. More than 1.5 field goals made. Book it. And it's a long play. It has cashed every week except last week since he's gotten the job. I'm going back to the well, so I'll do that one.
And we got to stick with CMC's receiving. We've hit it every week. It's up to 51.5. I don't care. He's still, the Texans were the best against receiving backs. He still had more than 42.5 like he needed last week. He hit 43, but that was his first time of the season not hitting 52.
Yep.
And that's what he needs this week is 52 receiving yards.
The only thing that I worry about is he running the ball so well that they don't need to throw it to him?
Yeah, but he still had 6 targets last week. It's just he only caught 3 of them. Like if he caught a couple more and just 1 more, he probably would have hit the 52. So it could be efficiency wise, right? It doesn't need to be against this Giants. It doesn't need to be 7 receptions.
And he had a long reception too, where he broke like 3 tackles like that. Let's see that Christian McCaffrey this weekend. Give me some more of that. And hopefully the Niners can get a win. God, they really need this one. They really, really need this one for so many reasons. For business purposes, for us here at the Gold Standard Podcast, to be 6-3. Again, all your wins would be conference wins too.
That's what I was going to say. 6-3, and 2 of those losses being against the AFC. Wait, is all 3 the AFC?
No, they lost to the Bucs.
Okay, yeah. So, and then 2 of those losses being AFC, like that, the teams you want to lose to is in the other conference. And if you're going to lose any games,
absolutely, you got a big game against the Rams coming up. Robert Saleh did say that it looks like Bryce Huff will be back for that Rams game, which is massive because they are going to desperately need him. Hopefully, we'll get some other returns that week as well. But let's go, Niners. Time to handle your business. Faux show. Michelle, you're not going trick or treating tonight. Are you going to a bar? What do you got going on?
I have no idea yet. Just going to live up life. We'll see.
I can't wait to hand out candy. If you're in Connecticut, come to the Guerrera House. You get full-size candy bars. That's all I'm going to say. Enjoy the game. If you're in the Jersey area on Saturday, I will be at the John Chapman event in Hoboken with Steph Sanchez and Jason Aponte. Come. I'd love to meet you. You can yell at me for something stupid I've said if you want, but it should be a lot of fun. If you're around, please join us for that. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. Enjoy your Halloween, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye, y'all.